Call on Government Order of the Day number 1.
Taxation annual rates for 2015-16, Research and Development and Remedial Matters Bill, interrupted debate on first reading.
Members, when we were last on the first reading of the Taxation Annual Rates for 2015-16, Research and Development and Remedial Matters Bill, Jami-Lee was speaking and has 4 minutes remaining if he wishes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Jami-Lee.
Mr. Speaker, I was enjoying speaking the last time the House was considering this bill last night, as it happens. Mr. Speaker, I was enjoying the opportunity to speak on this bill because I was happy to outline for the members opposite how this government is working hard to ensure that R&D investment in our country is encouraged. R&D investment in our country is being encouraged by this government through a number of measures. Most importantly, the over $500 million of R&D grants over the next 4 years that we're putting into our economy to assist organisations, assist businesses to invest in R&D. And Mr. Speaker, this bill follows on from that. If I can just point out to the House again, this bill has 2 very important measures regarding R&D encouragement. Mr. Speaker, there are the research and development effectively cash out tax credits that this bill covers, and also the ability for businesses through the changes we're making around what you'd call black hole R&D expenditure for businesses to benefit from that. We went over detail on that last night. I won't talk much further about it. But, Mr. Speaker, those are important parts of this bill. I also want to touch on, Mr. Speaker, the more general aspects around tax and this government's ability to say that we have created a fairer tax system for New Zealanders. Mr. Speaker, the fairer tax system that we have in this country, which is backed up again by this bill through the annual rates of taxation that this bill outlines, is seeing the fact that 2/3 of the value of the 2010 income tax cuts went into reducing the bottom 2 tax rates. Mr. Speaker, those that need assistance in life the most, those that are struggling to make ends meet, do benefit more from the tax changes that were made in 2010 than many others. Mr. Speaker, households earning less than $60,000 a year are generally expected to pay proportionally less net income tax today than 5 years ago. And Mr. Speaker, when you take into account the income support payments that households are receiving, households earning less than $60,000 a year are expected to pay no net income tax at all. The $2.7 billion of income tax they pay this year will be offset by $8.1 billion in income support that those households receive. So, Mr. Speaker, whenever members in this House say that we're not doing enough to assist those that are on the lower income thresholds, Mr. Speaker, I can point to the fact that our tax system, highlighted and boosted by this bill, Mr. Speaker, that tax system is fairer and is supporting those people. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to just touch on the child support reforms this bill talks about, Mr. Speaker. The child support reforms are talked about at the moment by the Labour Party when they're complaining about changes being made by IRD and their computer system. Mr. Speaker, the reason why the computer system is being changed with IRD is because we haven't actually made substantive changes to child support payments and the system in place there since 1991. Now, I know members opposite sometimes struggle to understand the need for these changes, but when a system hasn't been amended, hasn't changed since 1991, naturally there are going to be technological changes that need to follow through with it. Yes, there have been difficulties with that system. Yes, there have been changes that IRD has needed to make. But, Mr. Speaker, as we heard in the Finance and Expenditure Committee today, the Minister of Inland Revenue has worked hard to try and get those costs down and find savings. Mr. Speaker, this bill backs up some good stuff the government's doing. I support it.
I call Gareth Hughes.